So I'm 21, 5'6", 125 pounds. I've noticed nobody really takes me seriously. Family, clients, other men, etc. They don't really listen when I speak or acknowledge my presence, or notice when I'm there. I was wondering how I can be taken more seriously. Edit, whoa. This got much more attention than I thought. I'm still going through all the responses, but I do plan to respond. Thank you, kind stranger who gave me gold. Story 1, short term, don't slouch. Have good posture. Don't rush your words. Take your time while talking. Also, keep eye contact with people. Usually, the ones to break eye contact are people who aren't as confident, so they tend to look away, and the other person notices it. Maintain eye contact with whoever you're speaking to, as long as it isn't creepy. Also, analyze what conversations you're having with people. If they're not mature conversations, try to center them around more adult topics to show them that it's time for them to start looking at you like an adult. Long term, I'd say start working out and developing muscle. You'll look bigger and more intimidating, and when people look deeper, they'll see that you've got drive and focus, and it's something to respect. Story 2, 42-year-old man here. No one takes 21-year-olds seriously, not really anyway. As you go on in life, being taken seriously is directly correlated with one of three things: accomplishments, knowledge, or ability. I know 40-year-old men who still aren't taken seriously because they've never really done anything. They've never climbed a mountain or built a business. They couldn't fix your car or build a birdhouse. They can't pick up a guitar and play a tune or speak with well-earned authority on much of anything. So if there's one piece of advice I can give you, it's to be a doer. Gain knowledge. Grow skilled. The being taken seriously will happen on its own. Story 3. You may want to join Toastmasters or take public speaking classes. There are techniques to project your voice or change your pacing to be more noticeable. Change the way you dress to increase your self-confidence. Story 4. Posture, attire, just clean and fitting clothes, and body language help a lot. Word economy is important. When you are saying something you find important, choose your words more carefully. Speak at a non-rushed pace, use complete sentences, and end with a tone that conveys confidence in what you say. You can give yourself some time to organize your thoughts. It helps you not just react to a conversation but add meaningful content to it, and people will appreciate that you are taking time to actually think about what they are saying. Also, consciously make an effort to speak clearly. Speak at a volume people can hear and enunciate your words so people will not have to ask you to repeat yourself as often. Story 5. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself, and if need be, raise your voice. My classmate, who admittedly had an anger issue, taught me to speak up for myself when people gave me a hard time. I've heard when people realize this, they have some teeth. Therefore, they're more confident and respected because they can't be walked over. Story 6. It sounds cheesy, but I am a great believer that you earn respect, no matter how old you are. If you are 21 but can play level 8 piano or speak 3 languages or strip down an engine, whatever it is, people will pay attention. I am not saying everyone needs to be exceptional to be noticed, but be proud of what you do well and own it. People will pay attention to that. Story 7. I had a similar issue, 6 foot 5 inches and 110 kilograms. It's not a height or size thing, my friend. It's about projecting yourself. Don't let people ignore you, and don't stop talking if someone tries to talk over you. It took me a while to realize I had to stand up for myself and actually act as if I had something to say rather than mumble my way through life. Story 8. The responses here range from getting a better physique to gaining knowledge, wealth, or accomplishments. In my opinion, those things are a means to an end, which is self-confidence and self-assurance. You can be taken seriously without all those things by having 1. Self-respect so that you're comfortable in your skin everywhere you go. Boundaries, meaning don't let people walk over you without consequence. Carrying yourself with poise, which includes good posture, a clean appearance, and calmness, as well as dignity, which involves the way you talk and giving others due respect and honor. Knowledge, including but not strictly limited to academic knowledge. Being able to hold a conversation about a wide range of topics with different kinds of people, knowing how to deal with people, having empathy, sympathy, being understanding, and knowing when to put people back in their place. I look way longer than I actually am, left home pretty young, and ended up meeting people from different backgrounds and ages. I hung out with a mostly older crowd and met tons of others who never disrespected me and who knew what line not to cross even when we had disagreements. After some introspection, I realized it was those qualities I listed that helped me. Story 9. Rule 1. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. By exuding confidence and competence, you will be presented with more opportunities. Rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. Aim to continuously improve, not for perfection or idols. Rule 6. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Be the change you wish to see in others. Be what you want others to see you as. Rule 8. Tell the truth or at least don't lie. Rule 9. Assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Story 10. 2 things. Dress like you mean business. This doesn't necessarily mean a suit and tie every day. Definitely get a couple of nicely tailored suits. They don't need to be bespoke, $8,000 ones, but a nicer one and get it tailored. Under $500 per suit, but avoid the 3 for $150 deals as they're of terrible quality. Buy some nice shoes, whether that be leather sneakers or boots, whatever you prefer. Get properly fitting slim-fit jeans, get them tailored, and finally, some nice shirts, whether they be casual short-sleeve button-ups or flannels for winter. 2. YouTube. I watched The Modest Man. He's a smaller gentleman as well, so you can learn a lot from him. I'm 5 feet 8 inches, 5 feet 9 inches on a good day, so I'm not huge either. Alpha M, probably my favorite YouTube channel ever, is less of a style page and more of a learn how to be a man page with confidence tips, etc. And finally, Real Men Real Style is a great business where channel and teaches you how to properly present yourself. Good luck, brother. Story 11. People have given good action advice and behavior, but there is something I would definitely add. Learn how to walk. Sounds silly, kind of is, but make sure they know you're comfortable in your skin. Learn how to look at a spot and walk there in a straight line with your head held high. Pick a place in front of you. Walk there. It sounds small. That's because it is. But learning how to walk again can project so much confidence outward. Story 12. Probably need to start bulking up a little. When I was your age, I was under 140 pounds at 5 feet 11 inches. Being so slim and young makes a lot of people view you as a child. Sorry to say, but your height is contributing to this as well, but there's nothing we can do about that. I gained about 20 pounds in a little over a year, grew a goatee because the rest of my beard is too patchy, and people started treating me much differently. It is unfortunate, buddy, but people do judge based on appearance. Try beefing up, dress appropriately, work on speaking with confidence, and work on holding yourself confidently, as communication is 75% nonverbal. You'll get there eventually. Story 13. This was one of my biggest problems. I was so hungry to change that I enlisted partially for this. You just need practice speaking and with how you come off, and it's not an easy discipline. Story 14. For a 21-year-old who is 167 centimeters in height, 56 kilograms is pretty underweight. I would say the average weight for a 21-year-old who is 167 centimeters is 65 to 75 kilograms. Go to a gym and get a plan. You are at the peak of your testosterone, and gaining mass wouldn't be hard at this age. Story 15. I'm the exact same size as you but 10 years older. I also look like I'm about 25 to 27 years old. I've run into the same problem as you. Not as much recently, but I know how you feel and it is frustrating. My best advice is to act confident in everything that you do. I'm a union pipe fitter by trade, and I noticed people at work took me more seriously when I started showing more confidence in myself. I noticed a huge boost in self-confidence when I was in the last year of my apprenticeship. I carried myself a little differently, and I noticed a significant difference in how my coworkers and people from other trades talked to me. They weren't disrespectful beforehand, but I could tell there was a difference in how seriously they took me. Also, do what you can to be a physically tough individual. I'm obviously not a big, strong guy, but I'm a tough person, and people who know me are aware of that. When people realize that I can be tough when I have to be, I get looked at differently because most people think small guys are not resilient. In short, self-confidence goes a long way. Hope this helps. Story 16. Work on yourself, become someone who you take seriously, and others may follow. And if they do not, you will be content with yourself enough to not care. Story 17. Be silent and let your work and results speak for themselves. Just mind your own business. Being confident and self-aware magically attracts people. You are 21. This is the time you should choose what you will identify yourself with in the future. Identity is what matters now, not so much relationships. Choose something you like and become the best at it. Build a reputation and people will approach you without being asked to. Don't be afraid to try things out and fail. Story 18. Not much you can do about it because for the most part it is your age. Every older person has gone through that. The only way a young person is taken seriously is if they can show they are an absolute expert at whatever is being discussed. You cannot fake it like older people can because there is a perception that age brings some experience and wisdom. People will take you seriously when you are about 30 to 50. Then they stop again unless they know you know what you are talking about, which takes proving it to them. It is not your height or your weight. It is your age. I have worked with many slender, short men who are very much taken seriously, but only the younger ones when they are notorious for some expertise that they have proven to many different people. That is just how it is. And family never really takes you seriously. It is actually a good thing usually. Family remembers all your stupid things, so they keep you grounded if you become a big deal. You are always that little kid that wet your pants once when you saw a clown. Story 19. The top comment is great. In addition, I'd like to point out that it's difficult to take people who add too many opening or transition words like, so, okay, and seriously. Also, if you want people's attention, raise your voice in volume and not in pitch. Story 20. If this does not apply to you, feel free to ignore it. It is just a problem I have noticed that some people have. When people talk too much, bring up topics that are completely unrelated to the current conversation, force conversations, or continuously talk about one thing, then they are typically ignored and not taken seriously. The less a person talks, the more they tend to be listened to. It is tough to listen to someone who spews nonsense all day. Story 21. Stop caring about being taken seriously. If nobody is taking you seriously, you don't have friends. You have acquaintances who don't really care about you. If you have a single best friend, ask them for advice instead of this forum. Story 22. So, you can employ some techniques to show an increase in confidence, which will eventually translate into real confidence. I don't really know much about these, but this short video on YouTube explains it pretty well. Story 23. Learn this the hard way. Nobody will ever take you seriously until you learn to take yourself seriously. Yes, it is cryptic, but figure out what that means to you. Story 24. 21-year-old here who works in a hospital. I found that maintaining eye contact is first and foremost the best way to get others to pay attention to me. From the nurses to the doctors I work with, by simply introducing myself with a solid smile while maintaining eye contact, it's often enough for others to remember who I am. The first few conversations I'll have with a new person, I aim to be very direct and factual with whatever information I need to impart, and only in later interactions do I start to crack jokes and become jovial. Also, build muscle, it will always help your case. Story 25. I think becoming more confident helps. Stand up straight with good posture. Look people in the eyes when you speak to them, and speak confidently. Working out also doesn't do any harm. Story 26. I'm 29, 6 feet 1 inch, but only 140 pounds here. That said, growing up, I was always among the shortest kids in my class. It wasn't until around age 13 that one spring I suddenly gained 15 pounds and got chubby for the first time in my life. That summer, I grew 6 inches, which, as a side note, hurt tremendously, and have been above average height ever since. Thus, I think I can sort of see things from both sides. That said, I understand that being short as a child versus not getting respect as an adult are quite different things, and the latter is probably much harder to deal with. Anyway, the point is, my height helped make up for me being so thin, so I still managed to get respect. Have you considered getting taller? Teasing. In actuality, ditch anybody who doesn't give you respect for any reason. You can suffer trying to get the respect you deserve, of which, again, there is no guarantee you actually get it. Or you can stop wasting your time with these people and find people who respect you. I obviously believe you have agency here to improve your situation. If I didn't, I wouldn't have given my input. Hundreds of others have given input on here too. So clearly this is not a helpless situation for you. Your problem is actually a symptom of the following much larger issue in society, and fixing societal problems is far more daunting than resolving your own personal ones. Sadly, we still have some evolutionary holdovers regarding our idealized mental image of a leader or respected person. It's not a coincidence that the executive suite at every organization I've ever worked for is made up of tall white or Asian men. I imagine most other people have had similar experiences. It isn't a coincidence that most politicians tend to be tall white men. Unfortunately, it appears that humans still place undeserved reverence upon tall people, formerly large people. But these days, being thin or lean is trendy and seen as an indication that someone has self-discipline. Stupid, I know. People, men in particular, seem to have a difficult time following or being subordinate to someone who is less physically imposing than them. It just triggers some primal macho masculine nonsense from our ancestors. Why follow this smaller person when I can dominate them physically? They should be following me. This kind of stuff seems silly, but there was a point in human history where that type of thinking actually increased your chances of survival, your quality of life, and your chances at reproductive success. This is the crux of the issue. At one point in our evolutionary history, being aggressive was advantageous. These days, society is inclined to reject such behavior, yet we still have our instincts as animals, and we still vaguely remember that time when asserting one's physical dominance was advantageous. So we still give people a pass when they do it, as long as they're white men, but that's a whole different issue that I'm even less qualified to talk about. Obviously, in the 2020s, none of the physical advantages matter. To be honest, it hasn't really mattered for like 100 years. Outside of stuff like athletics, dominance via physical advantages, or sexual dimorphism, in the case of comparing men and women, aren't worth much in this society. Nearly all the high-paying, white-collar jobs are service positions, operated from behind a desk. Programmers, lawyers, accountants, etc. One's physical ability has nothing to do with their ability to thrive in those positions. Sadly, again, we still seem to find some merit in these old instincts. I also don't really know how to improve this, other than the continued passage of time. It's easy to say, just stop irrationally holding up tall people on a pedestal, but much harder to actually do it. Instincts are embedded pretty deep within us. I am not a sociologist, anthropologist, psychologist, gender studies expert, or anything like that. I'm a nerdy white 29-year-old software developer from New York City with a bachelor's degree in computer science who doesn't know much about this stuff. So take this whole comment with a grain of salt. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I tried. I hope the original poster or someone else gets some value out of this comment.